In the end, what Ida said, when he said he would be the one to stop Stain, proved to be true. When Ida kicked Stain in the chest, near the ribs section, and then Izuku came in and punched Stain, in that one blow that Ida did, he broke Stain's ribs, and made it to where Stain eventually got stopped thanks to that blow. So when you look at it like that, it was thanks to Ida why Stain, the hero killer, finally was captured, or his reign of terror was ended. However, the way he went down is definitely something that is worth noting. And before I actually get into the weight or the meaning of that scene, I think I need to talk about the stuff before it. Let's talk about Endeavor. Endeavor as a character, he was introduced a long time ago in the series of Boku no Hero Academia. And the thing about Endeavor that many of us found out recently, if you're anime only, is that he is a very shitty human being. He is not qualified to really be a hero because of what he has done. I mean, to kind of give a brief summary, he raped a woman just to be able to get a child that could pass All Might. He made his wife that he raped just mentally insane to where she would actually attack her own son, and then fucked up, his own son's life and made him have a complex and issue with him, and also had an issue with his mother because he felt upset because his mother didn't like the way he looked, since, every time, she looked at him, she was reminded of his father. And so, Endeavor, his backstory, or what we've seen from his character, he's a piece of shit of a father. He is not someone you would want to be related to at all, after seeing what he has done to Todoroki. However, even though we know he is a piece of shit, even though we know that he is someone that is not qualified to be up there with All Might, you have to admit one thing after watching this episode. Even if you're a manga reader or anime only, you have to admit one thing. Even though he's a shitty person, he's damn good at his job. He at the very least knows how to use his quirk, he knows how to stop villains, and he knows what he needs to do and how much pressure he needs to put in to be able to put someone down. Let's talk about the start of this episode, when we get once again another kind of flashback of what was going on between Gran Torino and Endeavor, and how Gran Torino eventually wound up where Izuku was, where Stain and all of them were fighting. Basically, Endeavor is the one that gave the information to Gran Torino to get over there, and then all the other heroes started going over there thanks to Endeavor. And Endeavor, he was going from place to place to help out and all that, and we see multiple times throughout the episode that he demonstrates he knows what he's doing. Even though he's a piece of shit, he knows what he's doing as a hero. He definitely pays attention to those around him, and he doesn't usually attack villains first. He looks if there's someone that's, in harm's way, he'll try to save them, and also the way he fights proves that. I mean, when he gets up close to the Nomu and he burns its head, yes, that's very badass. Yes, that was like, holy shit, that's crazy, because this man is just pure badass to be able to get that close to something, burn it, while he could just be at range and just fire at it. But that's much more dangerous, because remember, even though quirks, they're versatile, they're very strong, and, he's a pro hero, he has to remember that his quirk can easily kill someone. Because of how strong it is, if he's to start shooting out fire all over the place, he can accidentally kill civilians like it's nothing. Quirks can kill, and that is the big thing about this, of why Endeavor got so close to the Nomu. When he grabbed the Nomu and he was able to fight it and then burn its head, he didn't have to worry about anyone around getting caught up in the crossfire. And then also how he was chasing after the villains, like the Nomu that was flying away, when he got on the side of the wall and he was melting the wall as footholds as he was going up, or how he launched like a javelin of fire into the Nomu's head, or, how he used his fire in general just to fight back. It just shows that this man knows how to use his quirk. He has definitely harnessed his ability to the point to where he is at a whole different level than what we have seen from other heroes, and he's definitely worthy of his title of the number 2 hero in Japan. So when you look at it like this, you can see that he's good at his job. He is someone that definitely knows what he's doing. However, that does not mean that he's a good person. And so, that's kind of what this episode was trying to showcase. Why Stain is doing what he's doing, but also what's kind of warped with his conviction or his ideology, and why some things that he is talking about is very strange or messed up, and honestly, he's in some ways a hypocrite for what he does. However, this makes Stain a very interesting character, because what he does say, or what he does, actually holds a lot of weight, because he is right about a lot of things, that the word hero is no longer how it was, or what it should be, because now there's just so many out there that are phonies, fakers, and all that, that you can't really consider them heroes. Like I said, even though Endeavor, he's a very very good hero. Like, you can see that the man is good at his job. That doesn't mean that he's probably qualified to be a hero. And hear me out, okay? It's like this. When you see someone saving the day, when you think of a hero, in normal terms of heroes, you think of someone that's a good person, a very good individual that goes out of their way. They don't want anything, they don't want no fame, they want no wealth, they don't want anything. They're just going out of the way, saving people. However, on that other side too, you have it to where their personality is usually very nice, or, you know, they're modest. They don't want to be aggressive or anything. They usually are just shy and stuff, and they just get away once, you know, what they've done is done. They just leave the public eye. And in this case, Endeavor is someone that you can clearly see that fuels his emotions, that's fueled him to this point, is not actually wanting to be a hero, but it's actually wanting to be number one, beat All Might. He doesn't necessarily want to be a hero for the sake of being a hero. He wants to be a hero because he wants to beat All Might. He wants to be number one. He doesn't want to be number two. He wants to be number one, which is why he used his son Todoroki so much to be able to, you know, get that place. For instance, be number one, or at the very least have his son become number one. And that's kind of what shows here of how Endeavor, even though he's a good hero, like he's good at his job, doesn't mean that he's a good person. It does not mean that he should be a hero, because he has all the characteristics that don't make a good person or a good hero, because when you think of a hero, they should be both. And so it opens your eyes up to what Stain said. Maybe he's speaking the truth. Maybe Stain knows what he's talking about. I mean, maybe some of it's a little bit warped and wrong, but overall it does seem like he knows that something is definitely messed up, and he does reveal the scumminess of the society in Boku no Hero Academia. So, let's get into the fight, because like I said, I wanted to save the final part of the episode for discussion for later on in this video. Let's talk about the fight. So, Stain, he technically was defeated in this episode. However, the way he was defeated probably shocked many anime-onlys, and it's still shocking to even see as a manga reader how he was brought down. However, let's talk about the first fight that made him go unconscious and then eventually led up to the ending point of the episode. So, the fight continues. You have it to where Todoroki, Izuku, and then even Ida, they're trying to chip in to try to do whatever they can to stop Stain, and Stain is just showcasing that he's an absolute monster. Even though his quirk ability is strong, it isn't so strong to where it could dominate every single situation, which is exactly how any quirk is. For instance, if Endeavor was to fight a certain individual maybe that had a water-type quirk, he probably wouldn't be able to perform as well as he could against the Nomu in this episode. And so, when it comes to stuff like this is once again Horikoshi showcasing that you can't always rely on your quirk to win a battle for you. It comes down to intelligence, it comes down to physical strength, it comes down to figuring out the weaknesses of the opponent and how you can, you know, best them at that weakness. That's just what it comes down to. It doesn't always come down to using your quirk and overpowering your opponent. And in this case, that's what Stain was trying to prove, and what, you know, Todoroki was doing wrong. When Todoroki was fighting Stain in this episode, Stain even stated, he actually was kind of teaching Todoroki in this episode. He's like, you're relying too much on your quirk, and he's just dodging and all that and fighting. He's basically saying, you're relying too much on your quirk to do everything for you, but in reality, there's going to come a time to where that quirk is not going to be able to stop someone from getting near you, and you're going to have to fight with your fist. You're going to have to do something besides using your quirk, and that's what Stain was trying to prove. He's like, look at me. I'm a perfect example. In normal circumstances, when I'm fighting an opponent, I can't use my quirk to win. And that's very true. I mean, when Stain enters a battle, okay, let's say he's fighting All Might, Endeavor, Izuku, Todoroki, Ida, anyone, okay? Anyone at all. When he enters the battle, if he has nobody's blood or they don't have an open wound or whatever, the man is at a disadvantage. That means he is a regular human being in that moment. He cannot use a quirk ability to be able to defeat someone. He can't put someone down with a quirk because he can't activate it. So he has to harness his physical strength and be able to go up against opponents that are probably very fast, very strong, very athletic. He has to be able to deal with opponents like this, which showcases what Stain was trying to nail into Todoroki. He's like, you're relying too much on your quirk. You can't always rely on it. It's not something that's always going to be there for you to use, and Stain is a perfect example. Look how much of a monster he was when he was fighting Todoroki, Ida, and Izuku. This man was just beating their ass, handing out L's. And as I said, I want to emphasize a point here that Stain wasn't trying to kill Todoroki. He wasn't trying to kill Izuku. That was very obvious in the last episode, and then very, like, you have to be blind not to see it in this episode. He didn't want to kill them because he thought they were good heroes, you know, heroes for the future, and so he didn't want to end their life. He didn't want to snuff out the light from their, you know, eyes, so he let them be. But in that regard, that is where Stain fucked up. His own conviction, his own ideology is what fucked him in the end. It wasn't the fact that he was overpowered by Todoroki, Izuku, and Ida. It wasn't that. What really fucked him in the end was that his own warped ideology is what trapped him in a corner to where he couldn't get out. Because, see, if he would have been someone that could have become a hypocrite and went against his ideology or didn't care about his conviction, he could have killed Izuku right there. He could have killed, Ida and Todoroki with ease and then moved on. He could have easily just walked away after killing them, and he wouldn't have been stopped. He wouldn't have been caught, because he could have easily handled all three of them in the last episode. But once again, thanks to his conviction, what he stands for is what caused him to lose in the very end. It wasn't thanks to these students overpowering him, it was thanks to his own mistakes, his own ideology, that ended him in the end. So it's kind of funny when you think about it like that. His own conviction destroyed him. Even though Ida did do the final blow, and he did put, I guess, Stain down, what really caused that to happen in the first place was Stain making a mistake. That was the mistake he made. Now, let's talk about this real quick. The big thing about this is that with that wound that Stain received and him being knocked out, many are like, holy shit, is that the end? I could already see it now. Many anime-onlys at that moment, when they were watching this episode, they're like, holy crap, Stain's been hyped up so much. I mean, yes, last week's episode was badass, the previous episode was badass, Stain's an interesting character, this episode was badass, but many anime-onlys most likely were thinking, like, at that moment, wait, is that it? Is he defeated already? Like, what? I know many were probably saying that. When that got to the moment towards the end of the episode, I bet you right now, anime-onlys were like when they saw what Stain did. So let's talk about that. Stain, as we know, he went unconscious thanks to what the actual students did to him. When he was unconscious, all the other sidekicks, Endeavor popped up, Gran Torino popped up, everybody started popping up. However, while they were popping up, one of the Nomus, which was flying and Endeavor was fighting earlier, flies over and grabs Izuku and starts flying off with him. Now, what I want to talk about real quick, it's not necessarily related to the episode. Like, the events didn't happen in the episode. However, I know for a fact this is not going to be said in the anime. So what I'm about to say is kind of spoilers. However, even though it's spoilers, it's probably not going to be addressed in the anime. So when I put my thumbs up, you can unmute the video, okay? Unmute the video when I put my thumbs up, and I'll not be talking about that anymore. But I just want to say right now that what I'm about to talk about most likely will not be in the anime. And a lot of manga readers are probably unaware of it as well, because it was actually in a side chapter, like a little side story at the end of a volume you could pick up. So I'm going to talk about it now. So 3, 2, 1, okay. So, the Nomu that picked up Izuku in this episode? Well, the Nomu that picked him up, it's actually theorized, thanks to a little side chapter story that popped out, like with a volume, that the Nomu that picked him up is the little boy that used to pick on him in the past, used to know Izuku and pick on him, and that is the Nomu. So Horikoshi is subtly implying that the Nomu that attacked Izuku in this episode, and remember, Shigaraki didn't order him to attack. Remember that. He's like, why is the Nomu attacking him and all that? Shigaraki didn't order him. The reason why is because the boy that used to know Izuku and bullied him and all that, that boy was put into a Nomu. So think about how fucked up that is. That's a little bit dark when you think about it. That means that this Nomu was created with a little boy. Okay, so with that being said, thumbs up. Okay, you can unmute the video now. So, let's talk about it. So, with Stain, being down for the count, all the other heroes popping up, and then the Nomu flying overhead grabbing Izuku, you have it to where all the heroes are like, oh shit, like, we can't reach him, he's getting out of our range, and all that. Even Gran Torino's like, what can we do? All of a sudden, Stain gets up out of nowhere. He's so fast, nobody could react. It was like lightning fast speed. He was so quick. He went to the sidekick girl, licked the blood off her cheek, which was the Nomu's blood, stunned the Nomu in midair, and then, as the Nomu was falling, stabbed him right in the head, which was complete savage. But I want to emphasize what this means real quick. What Stain did there shows his conviction. Even though he was defeated by his conviction, even in the end when he was defeated, he still stood tall and fought for his conviction. When he went to save Izuku, he was like, he is a proper hero. I didn't go this far, let myself get defeated, just to have this man die right here, right now, thanks to these fake heroes just sitting here and watching. And it's very ironic when you think about it. Out of all those countless heroes that were sitting there with, you know, traditional license and all of that, all these heroes that were sitting there, not one of them really did an effort to move. And only Stain, which is technically the villain of this arc, was the only one that did anything to save Izuku. It's funny when you think about it like that. He was the only one that moved his feet to do anything. Obviously, he had the advantage because of the blood, but still, he was the only one that attempted to do anything in that moment. And it just shows how Stain is as a person. Even though he's warped, he definitely believes in his conviction, and he doesn't have a wavering conviction at all. Because for him to save Izuku shows that he definitely thinks Izuku is a proper hero. And when he sits there and saves him, turns around, looks at Endeavor, looks at everybody, his mask falls off. What that shows right there is that this man, what he stands for, it won't just die with him. And let me explain that. When he stands up, looks at all of these heroes, and his mask falls off, which is horrifying. You don't really have any idea of what exactly happened there, and I'm just going to give you a brief FYI, anime-onlys. I don't even know what really happened to Stain's face. I'm just going to be completely honest. So, with that being said, though, Stain, his face is all fucked up. This man, he looks at the heroes. Izuku's just freaking out. He's, like, terrified. He's absolutely terrified. He looks at Endeavor. He looks at Gran Torino. He looks at Ida. He looks at all of them over there. And he's like, you're all a bunch of fakers. Fake heroes. You all cannot kill me. The only one that is allowed to kill me is All Might. And as he's saying this, you just see this aura coming off him, which was just malice. His conviction, his hatred for everyone that is a fake hero. When the man was standing there looking at every single hero right there, he's like, I see straight through you. You all are not proper heroes. Look what I just did. I saved this boy. A villain. Me. A villain. What you classify as a villain saved this boy. But you didn't save him. I had to. You're a bunch of fakers. And when he's sitting there looking at them, every single individual hero, sidekick, everybody, Gran Torino, and yes, even Endeavor, shit themselves. They start backing up. Even Endeavor backs up because he doesn't even know how to handle the situation. And in reality, when you look at it from a standpoint outside of what was going on, obviously, Endeavor could have probably have destroyed Stain like it was nothing. With ease. Because of how Stain's condition with his body was, but also how Endeavor's quirk is. But still, even then, with Stain standing up and doing what he did, after being beat like that, after having all of these injuries, doing what he did to the Nomu, and then looking at them and about to take all of them on. He's like, I don't care. You all are not going to kill me. The only one that will kill me is All Might. And they're all freaking out, backing up. Endeavor's scared. Everyone's scared. Izuku's scared. They don't know what the fuck to do, because this man looks like he is being dead serious. Like, he is going to fight all of them to the fucking death. Like, the only way you're putting this man down is if you chop him into little pieces. He will not go down with ease. That is the type of person he is. And when they're looking at him, they felt that hatred and what he stood for in that moment, which represented that even if you were to bring him down, take him into custody, that would not stop what he stood for in that moment. That was how powerful he was. So that was a very great moment to show what Stain is. And also how some of the heroes react to someone like Stain. I mean, someone as a seasoned veteran like Gran Torino that taught All Might was scared. He was legit scared. And you know this man has probably seen some heinous shit in his life. He has probably seen some horrible villains. But when he sees Stain, you saw the man was actually scared. It makes you wonder what All Might would have done in that moment. What would his reaction have been if you would have saw Stain? Because what Stain truly does stand for, even if it is warped, it has a lot of truth to it. And he definitely exposed a lot of them there, especially with that one act of him saving Izuku. So, Great character. I love Stain as a character. He is one of my favorites in this series just because of what he stands for. He's so good. Such a good character. I mean, in the end, he went unconscious thanks to Ida, and his ribs being broken went into his lung. But even then, though, the man went unconscious standing up. Kind of like a Whitebeard moment when you think about it. Reminded me a lot of Whitebeard. In that moment, this man went unconscious, but it's badass. It just shows that that man was willing to push his body that far. And also, let's talk about what he was doing, too. A true hero stands up against all odds. Even if the odds look dire, even if the hero looks like they're going to die. A true hero stands up for the right people. They stand up for everyone they love, everyone in the world. Even if it means sacrificing their own self, they will stand up and fight against impossible odds. And what Stain said is also very true. Just like a hero and how they must stand up against impossible odds, villains as well, depending on how their ideology is, must stand up against impossible odds. And that's what the situation was. Stain was kind of like the representation of a hero, standing up against a bunch of villains. But in this case, it was the reverse. He was the villain standing up against a bunch of heroes. So that's cool. That's very cool when you think about it like that. I love this arc. I love Stain as a character. I love the development of this arc. For instance, what it does for Izuku, Todoroki, and Ida. It just shows how much they've changed. I mean, there's little nods here and there throughout the episode where Todoroki actually calls Izuku his friend. He actually says, "My friend is in trouble." And that just shows what Todoroki thinks of Izuku. He actually thinks Izuku is a friend. And he doesn't think he's just an acquaintance or whatever. And then also now this is being passed on to Ida. Ida is changing. He is moving forward. He is trying to be a hero. And you see that the man that actually was being very selfish and not wanting to have his friends get hurt, but also he is one that wanted to kill Stain, you could see where he's undergoing a lot of changes throughout this episode. He tries to stand up and fight with his friends. He is trying to do the right thing. And he also realized how wrong he was. He was exposed. He was completely exposed by Stain. And he even realized that in this episode, how fucked he was and what he was doing and how wrong it was. And it's funny that it wasn't just Izuku or Todoroki that taught Ida how to be a hero. It was actually a villain like Stain. Stain taught him how to be a hero. And that is the message. That is the message of what Stain stands for. He wants a proper world. He wants proper heroes. He wants proper villains. He doesn't want one or the other. He wants both. So that's my thoughts on this episode. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I love you all so much. Please be safe. Chibi out.